Now we go to America, okay? And America has a different conception of the nation state, okay? So at this time in history, first of all, America, it's a very small place, 13 colonies. And the colony is controlled by these indigenous people. The French are there, the Spanish are there, okay? But the Americans are very, very ambitious. And they are expanding really, really fast. And Britain, the home country, actually becomes afraid of America. Because at this time, about the 1700s, America has more people, it's wealthier. It's welcoming people from all around Europe. And so Britain tries to limit the expansion of America, okay? It tries to say, you can't cross the certain line, the Appalachian Mountains. And America says, screw you, we're gonna revolt, okay? And this creates the American Revolution. And in 1789, America creates the Constitution, which becomes the highest law in the land. And so at this point in history, the American founding fathers, they look around the world, they know about the British system, they know about the French system. They're trying to grow the country as fast as possible. They have to fight the Spanish, the French, the British, and the indigenous people in their land. They're trying to welcome as many people as possible, okay? So they decide that the nation will become a game, okay? A game where the citizen is a player. And the citizen is trying to maximize his wealth, okay? And through this process of maximizing his wealth, trying to get as much wealth as possible, he will be energetic. He will work hard. And this energy will contribute to the overall wealth of the nation, which will allow America to grow very, very fast, okay? That's a plan, all right? So for this to work, they have to construct a game that has three major characteristics, all right? The first is that it has to be open, meaning anyone can come and play, okay? But that just means also limiting the history and the ethnicity of the place, okay? So the concept that America creates is the idea of melting pot. We welcome anyone who comes to America, regardless of your race, regardless of your history, regardless of your wealth, as long as you're willing to assimilate into America, into the melting pot, okay? That's the first idea. Second idea is fairness. And the third is clarity. So in other words, people are willing to play a game and work really hard to win this game if, first of all, they can play this game, they're allowed to play this game, they're not discriminated against. Also, if the rules are really clear, okay, you understand what the rules are. In America, the rules are very simple. You go to America, you follow the law, you work really hard, you get rich, okay? Really simple, it's called the American dream, right? And the third thing, of course, is that the game is fair. Meaning, the only criterion to generate wealth is how hard you work, how much talent you have, how much merit you have, right? The idea of merit. Okay? And look, this is true. When you go to America, you will discover this. If you work really hard, if you're really talented, if you're really smart, they will respect that, okay? I've been to a lot of countries, and I can tell you that in America, this is true. But it's not true in Canada. I grew up in Canada, and they don't really care if you're ambitious. They really don't care if you're smart. They don't care if you work hard. They don't care. They expect you to follow the rules and conform, okay? That's Canada. China, okay? We all know what China is, okay? No one cares if you work hard. No one cares if you're smart. No one cares, okay? It's all about your guanxi, about your family, okay? But it's true this is true for most of the world. And I would say that the idea of merit is only true for two places. America is the most obvious example, okay? I've been to meetings where at first Americans are like, this guy's Chinese, he probably doesn't speak any English, he's not that smart, okay? So there's discrimination going on. But the moment I speak, the moment I try to make my case, they are won over by my logic, okay? By my arguments, by my creativity. and they welcome me into the club. That's just the American attitude of being open-minded, of being generous, of appreciating talent above everyone else, okay? The English are also very similar in that way, in that, yeah, maybe they're racist, but if you can make a good argument in front of them, they will accept your argument, okay? But guess what, guys? Nowhere else is this true, okay? In China, you have the best argument in the world. No one cares, right? Okay? So there are lots of issues with America, but in all honesty, America is a place that really does appreciate merit and which really does reward merit. And that's why everyone wants to go to America. All right? All right. So the question then is, how did America create this system? Okay. Well, it did so through the Constitution. The idea of the Constitution is to create a game and make this game above power. Okay? And how they did that is creating a system of government that checks and balances each other. So you have the president, you have the Congress, okay? And you have the Supreme Court. Okay, the Supreme Court, it's very simple. It's to interpret the Constitution, which is the highest law in the land, okay? And then the powers of the government are divided equally amongst these different branches. So the Congress can create laws and control spending, okay? Or what's called the purse. The president has war powers, basically, or the sword. Okay? But if the president were to declare war, he needs Congress to approve, because Congress has to give them money to start the war. Okay? And the idea that the Constitution is the highest law in the land means that it's really rule of law. Okay? So even though you have this government system in place, you also have another parallel system called the judiciary, the court system, which protects property rights in the same way that they do in Britain. Okay? Does that make sense? So the very idea is that this is a game, and the government is a system to maintain the openness, clarity, and fairness of the game. And because of this, America was very quickly able to dominate the world. Okay? The thing about this game, okay, that's very important for us to understand is it is expansionist. Okay? So what happened is that in its history, America faced certain challenges to this game, and this game won out every single time. Okay? So the first major challenge to this game is called the American Civil War. All right, so let me explain what happened. From 1861 to 1864, the Civil War was fought between the North and the South. This was a clash of economic systems, okay? So the North played the game, okay? And so it believed in free labor. The South was its own independent economic system that focused on agriculture. And so it used slave labor. For many Americans in the North, slave labor was offensive because it corrupted the game. Okay? Because remember, America was founded on the idea of openness, fairness, and clarity. But if you're a slave, that's not fair, okay? Because you were born a slave and you can never participate in this game. And so they fought a civil war to decide who will triumph in the end. And of course, the North won because the North focused on free labor. So that meant that there were more people in the North. That meant that the North was wealthier because of manufacturing. And that meant that the North were more energetic. Okay? So they defeated the South. And so that was the first major challenge. Now the game is spreading. Okay? It spreads across America, and now it stops because America can't expand anymore. Okay? It basically conquers the West. And now the game is an issue because of the nature of money. The problem with money is that ultimately, the longer you play this game, at the end of the game, one person controls all the money. Okay, does that make sense? That's a problem of capitalism. That's a problem with this game. So now that the frontier has been settled, now that the borders have been controlled, a few people are now controlling all the money, which leads to the Great Depression, okay? So now the solution is America has to go and conquer the world, which it does, okay? In World War II, America conquers the world. And so now what America needs to do is spread this game throughout the world. And it does that by creating the US dollar, okay? So 1945, America wins the war. A year before, in July 1944, for 1 month, what happens is that America organizes something called the Bretton Woods Conference.